Comic books and books this week. I'm making a sign. The sign's going to say, comic books are better modern mythology with more muscles and more unresolved sexual tension. Change my mind. This week's stacks are brewing with Gotham Mysteries and, Gotham Gloom and Mutant Mysteries Unresolved. So let's get into it.
Hello nerds, welcome to the Clips channel. This is a clip, as if the channel name was not specific enough. This clip specifically comes from a show that I do over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom. We are going to be talking about comic books and books, very specifically in this clip. So news from the last week that has to do with everything comic books and books. Generally more on the comic book side, because the books side of things is kind of a little bit more slow going when it comes to nerdy content, but we do still cover it. So that being said, I appreciate you joining me. Let's get into the news.
Subscribe. That is all.
Bobs and corrections, we have one. It's New York Comic Con just happened, so we're bound to have some stuff. But new big thing, DC Gotham City panel has confirmed that the next major crossover in the DC universe is going to be Batman related. This is my surprised face. Trailers this week don't have a whole lot going on here because apparently the marketing department is on strike. That's a joke. That didn't really happen. I know we're all very, very touchy about strikes these days. So then that puts us squarely into news, the regular ass portion of the news. So our big one this week coming out the gate is after years of reboots and retcons and relaunches, Marvel has officially announced that the Ultimate Universe is coming to an end. This ending is happening as of April of 2026, so we have a few more months yet. Don't get your knickers in a twist. The name of the final arc is going to be Ultimate Endgame. And for those who weren't around back in the 2000s to know what's going on here, Ultimates was a way of modernizing Marvel. It was kind of a reboot of the continuity that wasn't exceptionally reliant on the previous 40 years of comic books at the time, and it was starting fresh with these characters all over again. Definitely gave us some of the best stories in modern comic book continuity, specifically referring to the original runs on Ultimate Spider-Man and The Ultimates. But like all good things in comics, eventually it got bloated, very weird, and convoluted. After the Secret Wars event that spanned multiple universes, kind of folded the popular characters into the Maiden 616, the writing was kind of on the wall. And then they rebooted it for some reason not that long ago. And now they're killing it again. You can't have an Elseworld story that is outdoing your mainline story. So is it that? Were they jealous of themselves? Is that why they're killing off the Ultimates? Then, like I said, New York Comic Con happened this weekend. One of the other big things that happened there is Greg Rucka is returning to Batwoman. 2026 will be when he launches a new DC Next Level initiative. It will be part of the DC KO line. Sure, okay. And then we have Brian K. Vaughan giving an update on Saga, which is long overdue at this point. And what exactly is our update? It's that he's still working on the next edition of the book, and it will happen eventually. Also, it will very likely make you cry, so it's all business as usual on the Saga front. And then also, speaking of DCKO and New York Comic Con, we have a piece that kind of makes perfect sense, and it's Sub-Zero, as in the guy who handles the ice in the Mortal Kombat franchise, will be making an appear in the DC comic for DCKO. I don't know if you were paying attention at the beginning of this story. Sub-Zero will not be the only fighting game character that is joining the Melee, but he is the only character, as it stands right now anyway, from Mortal Kombat that will be joining the Melee, so that's cool. Marvel also has previewed the next era of storytelling for their universe in comic books, and it is titled Shadows of Tomorrow. It will involve time travel, clones, soap opera levels of drama, and just basically be comic books. The question is, who's going to write them, and will we care? It starts in 2026, so we've got a little bit of time before that happens, so place your bets now. And then, to round out regular-ass news for the week, we have Vertigo is getting rebooted again in the DC line of comics. Now, this is pretty cool because, like, creator-owned comics are definitely the more friendly way to do comic books. A little less corporate energy, a little more community and energy. But not a whole lot of these books are going to look familiar to anyone who is a fan of Vertigo. Remember, Vertigo is the comic book line that gave us the greats like Sandman and Preacher and Why the Last Man. If you look at the previews for these Vertigo comics, I don't know if these are the same caliber of comic, but it still remains to be seen. We can make judgment at the time of release. Which then puts us into our suggestion for the week. This is one, honestly, I was struggling finding, so I was looking up really interesting old books, and we got a Jorodowski. I didn't know Jorodowski did a comic. I know him as an artist, but a very cursory knowledge of that. But he did a comic called The Inkle with Mabius. It is one of the most influential sci-fi comic books ever made, apparently. Psychedelic, because Jorodowski. And it's a space opera, because, again, Jorodowski, that has apparently influenced pretty much every space movie you've ever seen. So again, that is called The Inkle, I-N-C-A-L, Inkle. It's apparently you and I need to educate ourselves on some crazy comic book history. Because again, Jorodowski, a little nuts.
Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of these sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, probably here.